In the studio today, I am joined by two guests from the Neuroscience Research Group of the Department of Anatomy, Edo State University, Uzare, Nigeria. Today's topic is brain awareness, brain science, and careers in neuroscience. Quickly introducing the guest on my right, I have Dr. Adejoke Memudu. She is currently the head of Anatomy Department, Edo State University, Uzare, Nigeria, and her research interest is in neurodegeneration, neurobehavioral, and neurodevelopmental studies. You're welcome to the studio, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
And on my left, I have Mr. Augustine Oviosun, a passionate lecturer of the Department of Anatomy, Edo State University, Uzare, Nigeria. His research interest is in environmental neurotoxins and cognitive impairment, for example, cadmium, and the role in neurodegeneration. You're welcome to the studio, Mr. Augustine.
Good morning, listeners. Thank you for having me here.
Before we go deep into the program, let's go on a quick break. Stay around.
Your brain has about 86 billion neurons that are constantly in conversation with one another. Line them up, and they'd span the distance between New York City and the tip of Maine. That's about 540 miles. The communication between your neurons is responsible for everything you do, like riding your bike to the park, playing fetch with Fido, managing stressful situations, or deciding what book to read next. But despite all that hard work, how often do you actually stop to consider what's going on inside your brain? Luckily, there's a whole week to think about it. Brain Awareness Week is a global campaign coordinated by the Dana Foundation that takes place every year in mid-March. Just like neurons, the goal of Brain Awareness Week is to spread information. People from around the world connect through fun and fascinating events. The events share the wonders of the brain itself and the impact that brain science has on our everyday lives, from helping us heal to showing us how to thrive. Want to learn more? Visit brainawareness.org for free resources, tips for event planning, and a global calendar of events.
Without further ado, I'll go straight to interacting with our guests. So, Mr. Augustine, I'm fully aware that this episode marks the global celebration of the Brain Awareness Week. What exactly is Brain Awareness Week?
Thank you. Brain Awareness Week is a global campaign that is designed to increase advocacy, increase awareness concerning brain science, concerning brain research. Actually, the general goal of this global campaign is to aim at research, increasing the awareness on brain research, brain health, brain science, and how to keep an healthy brain, and how to increase support for research that involve brain diseases and all that.
What period is the Brain Awareness Week celebrated?
Mid-March annually. So it's an annual event that occurs mid-March globally. So that's just a period. So this period from 14th to 18th in this school, we are also celebrating it.
Who is or who are the founders of the Brain Awareness Week?
Thank you for the question. The Brain Awareness Week is founded by the Dana Alliance, and it is coordinated and supported by the Dana Foundation. Dana Foundation is a private organization that supports anything that has to do with brain research, brain grants, brain outreaches, educational outreaches, to foster information to the general public about brain science. And this was established in 1950 by a philanthropist called Charles A. Dana, and it has been going on over the years. The first Brain Awareness Week actually started in the United States. That was in 1996, and it's still going on as we speak.
Okay, ma'am. I was actually going to ask you too, like, when did the Brain Awareness Week first started? Thank you very much for answering that question, ma. Kudos to these organizers for founding this week. Are there other partners working with Dana Foundation to support this initiative?
Yes. Apart from Dana Foundation, which is National Brain Research Organization, we have other partners like Society of Neuroscience of Nigeria. We have Neuroscience Society of Nigeria. We have Society of European Neuroscientists. Then we have affiliated bodies of anatomy society that also support neuroscientists. For example, the Neuroscience Society of Nigeria, NSN, which is also affiliated to the IBU is International Brain Organization, is a body in Nigeria that also supports Brain Awareness Week. For example, there's various activities that NSN in Nigeria are involved in. There is a conference coming up in July this year in Ibadan. This conference is annually. It's also a conference to increase and create awareness concerning brain research, brain studies, and everything that has to do with brain awareness. So, in our school, for example, Adejoke University, we are affiliated also to NSN through the Neuro Research Group. So there are other bodies, like I've said, we have specific for Nigeria's neuroscientists. We have Neuroscience Society of Nigeria that are involved in conferences annually. So that's basically some of these bodies. So there are other affiliated bodies that we have in other fields of medicine, like in the neurophysiologists have their own body, just like that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Augustine. I think our listeners would like to know what are the events lined up for the Brain Awareness Week, and Dr. Adejoke will be addressing this question.
All right, thank you. The events lined up for the Brain Awareness Week involve lectures, panel discussion, neuroscience lab tour, and Brain Bee competition. Brain Bee competitions is an event that targets the secondary school students from between the ages of 13 to 19 years old. And they are trying to, the event is just to give them awareness about brain science, brain research, and let them start to connect to the brain science. Aside from that, we are also involved creating a lab tour for you to see the structures of the brain, so that we say, okay, this is the structure that is helping us in our daily, day-to-day mental health, mental activity, our cognition and all. So those are the lineup of our event. And we are starting this event from today. We'll be having an event by 12 noon in Edo State University, and we'll be continuing tomorrow throughout this week to support brain science, brain advocacy, and everything about the brain research. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Adejoke. Dr. Adejoke has just said the events lined up are the lectures, the panel discussion, the neuroscience lab tour, art exhibition, brain fairs, and lessons for school students. Interesting, a very wonderful lineup. So moving to the next question, will be answered by Mr. Augustine. How can people join this global campaign of the Brain Awareness Week? Or how can they be a brain awareness advocate?
Thank you very much. First, you have to stay informed. One way of staying informed is that you have to get information concerning brain awareness. And one way of getting information concerning brain awareness is, for example, you can go to www.brainawareness.org. So to get informed concerning the brain awareness. Also, you have to spread the campaign. By spreading the campaign, I mean you have to be an advocate of brain research, brain science. You also have to create policies that support brain research in our institution. We also have, by creating policies, this involves the policy maker, like government, state government, federal government. You have to be a policy maker that will support policy that of brain research. Also, you have to also be a role model. By being a role model are those that live a healthy lifestyle that also lead to living an healthy brain life. So you also have to there are students, researchers, policymakers, organizations that also have to key in to be an advocate of brain awareness program. So this, if you look at it, the entire aspect is that in our institution, both the students, which can be undergraduate student, postdoc, policymakers, with government, research institute also have to fund research. By funding research that has to do with the brain, they can be advocates or they can be partners with this program. So that's how to partner with Brain Awareness Week program. Thank you.
All right. Initially, I was thinking anybody can be a brain awareness advocate, but you're listening, you've heard you need to be informed, you need to be a policymaker, you need to be interested in the neuroscience body, what is happening in the neuroscience. All right, so moving to the next question. What is brain science? Dr. Adejoke will be answering this question.
All right, thank you. Brain science, or called neuroscience, is the study of the structural mapping of the brain. It also involves the study of the functions of the brain and the individual neurons, how they synapse, how they coordinate for nervous activity in the body. It also involves studying behavioral changes due to nerve-to-nerve interaction and connection. And this field of science, neuroscience, is a multidisciplinary field of science, meaning we have various fields. We have the fields of neuroanatomy, we have the field of neurophysiology, we have the field of neurobiology that has to do with the biology of the nervous system, that studies the biology, molecular biology of the nervous system. We have the field of psychology, neuropsychology, that studies the psychology, cognition of the of individuals. And all these research fields have to work together to create models to understand the basic process of a neuron, the basic process and activities of glial cells, neural circuits, and all these parts of the brain and the structural units of the brain collectively work for functional neural functions as well as the human behavior. Because without the neurons, the neural circuits and synapses coordinated together, neurons cannot really function for behavioral changes in the body. Thank you.
What are the career paths of a brain scientist or a neuroscientist?
Thank you. The career path of a brain scientist or a neuroscientist is, well, as I mentioned earlier, I told you that neuroscience is a multidisciplinary field of science that involves the field of anatomy, it involves the field of physiology, psychology, because neuroscience involves studying brain health, studying the normal functions of the brain, studying the health status of the brain, studying disease conditions of the brain. So, and how to maintain the health status and healthy brain. So, for all these fields of science to be fields of neuroscience to be well harnessed and to support the activities of brain science, the following career path includes: we can have a neuroanatomist. For me, I'm an anatomist, and I'm interested in the study of the structural changes within the brain. And another field is for a pharmacology. Pharmacologists can come in as a neuropharmacologist to study drug reactions, drug interaction within the brain. They are the ones that help us to understand the drugs that cross the blood-brain barrier. We also have the field of physiology. The people involved are neurophysiologists that helps to study the functions, structural functions of the brain. We have a neurologist, which are the medical doctors that helps to diagnose and treat disorders of the nervous system. We have neuropathologists. They study the disease of the nervous system and the changes as opposed to the normal. We have neuropsychologists, these people in the field of psychology that study brain behavior and relation with respect to cognitive function performed by each part of the brain for in every person's life. We also have the people in the field of radiology. When there's a disease case and there's a scan, they study the changes by reading the radio imaging of the brain. We have the field of a biologist that study the structural organization, neurobiologists of the brain. We have the fields of mental health practitioners, psychology. They also involve in mental health practitioners. We have the doctors in the field of community medicine that can support by advocating and talking about mental health. We have the fields of science that talk about science communication, people that help to communicate all the works of neuroscientists in the lab and communicate it in simple layman English for everybody in the community to read about. Thank you.
All right, before we went on a break, Dr. Adejoke told us that brain science is a multidisciplinary field of science. And from the career path, you agree with me, where one can be a neurologist, a neuroanatomist, a neuropathologist, and lots more. And I think our listeners will want to know who an early career neuroscientist can be. Mr. Augustine will be attending to this question.
Thank you very much. An early career neuroscientist can be a student. When I say student, can be an undergraduate student, a master's student, a PhD student, a postdoctoral fellow that is currently involved with research that has to do with brain and neuroscience. And sometimes it also involves principal investigators, can involve research fellows. But this research fellow, why we say early career neuroscientist, it can be a PhD holder that has been into research within the period of 10 years. So if, for example, you are past that period within 10 years, you are not more classified as an early career neuroscientist, because if you go to IBU International Brain Organization, there's various opportunities open to early career scientists. These are opportunities for mentorship, opportunities for grants to do research that involve brains. So that's why we classify it as early career scientists. So I will come again. Early career scientists are master's degree student, PhD degree student, research fellow that are involved in research that has to do with brain and neuroscience. Thank you.
Wow, interesting. Mr. Augustine, we really need to be very realistic here. I'm sure that there will be some challenges an early neuroscientist can face, or there are challenges that can be faced by an early career neuroscientist. Please, can you highlight more in it, sir?
Thank you very much. There's quite a number of challenges that an early neuroscientist can face. One of them is mentorship. Mentorship, because as an early scientist, you need a mentor that will guide you on the right path to go. Most of the time, as early neuroscientists, these mentorships are not readily available. So there's lack of mentorship. Two, there's lack of research funding and support. Research that has to do with neuroscience, brain, they are very cost effective, they are very expensive. So if as an individual, maybe you're a master's student, you're a PhD student, you want to venture into the research of neuroscientists, you are going to be faced with issue of funding. So this is where our policymaker comes in play. Policymakers, like I said, can be government, institution, organization that will support health and research advocacy. So this policymaker have to set aside funds that should be channeled into research that has to do with the brain, because an healthy brain is an healthy man. So research that has to do with brain will help us to know how to live an healthy life, will help us to have the consciousness of brain science. So the challenges are there. Like I said, mentorship, funding and support. There's lack of support. An early neuroscientist want to go into an area of the brain. Let's say you want to discuss an area that has to do with memory. There's a lot of things that will go on. There's a lot of things that you will be involved in. It's going to be involved in laboratory work that are very quite expensive. And most of these laboratory work are not readily available in our labs in Nigeria. That is where our policymakers in Nigeria are lacking. If you look at the whole essence of the Brain Awareness Week is from Dana Foundation. Dana Foundation started from America. IBRO, International Brain Organization of Nigeria, or International Brain Organization, is not in Nigeria. These are foreign organizations. If you come down to our country, our local base, there are no organizations that are readily available to support brain research. That's why the issue of funding is coming in. There are limited available space that Nigeria will have to fight with to get maybe a little grant abroad to do that research. So that's why we have so many neuroscientists that are funding their research on their own. So these challenges are always there. Thank you.
You know something, I'm very happy that he didn't just address the challenges, but he made a way for solutions and what can change the situation. He has said policymakers need to come in place. And I'm sure one of the reasons the Neuroscience Research Group of the Edo State University, one of their mission statement is to put some of all these things in place. Our final question will be attended to by Dr. Adejoke, and it is, what is the role of a brain scientist?
I want to use this opportunity to appreciate the founders of the Brain Awareness Week, which is the Dana Foundation that started this using the Dana initiative. It is a privilege to be part of this event. Thank you for initiating the Brain Awareness Week, and thanks to IBRO for supporting them to continue this Brain Awareness Week. I think this Brain Awareness Week should be the 26th Brain Awareness celebration since inception in 1996. We also thank the Edo State University Mebu Vice Chancellor Professor Aluyo for supporting our cause to start this Brain Awareness Week. We appreciate his leadership role in supporting the young mind.
Quickly introducing the guests with me, on my left, I have Dr. Adejoke Memudu. She is currently the head of Department Anatomy, Edo State University, Uzare, and her research interest is in neurodegeneration, neurobehavioral, and neurodevelopmental studies. You're welcome to the studio,
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
All right. So on my right, I have Dr. Ann Idagoku. She is an impactful lecturer of the Department of Anatomy, Edo State University, Uzare. Her research interest is in diabetes and its linkage with neurodegeneration. You're welcome to the studio, Dr. Ann, ma'am.
Thank you very much. So in the context of mental health is the state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her goal and can complete normal processes of life and can work and be productive in their life, in their community, as well as contribute to their community. So as a matter of fact, the mental health is made up of emotional well-being, social well-being, and the psychological well-being. So in summary now, mental health is a state of well-being where people and society function at their best, contributing to each other's development and societal goals. Thank you.
I think our listeners would like to know why we should have a good mental health, and Dr. Ann will be answering that question.
Thank you very much. A good health is very, very important. There is an adage that says health is wealth, okay? To have a good health, it plays truths in one's life, in the sense that you need a good health to bring out the best of your abilities, to bring out the best of your talent, to bring out the potentials. That sometimes the things that actually excite or make this person happy, you see the person shine away from it. All those things are some of the signs of this mental disorder. And when you now look at it, it can even go to an extent of what? Of hallucinating. And when it comes to its management, basically it can be managed through psychotherapy, and this is where the psychotherapists now come into play. It's a kind of personal relationship, personal interaction with the person in quotes. Try to counsel the person, try to help the person so that the person can have a change in his or her mood or her behavior, so that it can overcome the problem. And also another one is also taking prescribed medication. One of those medication gives you what we know as the happiness hormone, which is what the release of the serotonin that actually helps to make the person have a good feeling of oneself. Apart from that, it is necessary to have a change of lifestyle, which is very, very important. Then the one that is being overlooked is stress. Stress can actually have a negative impact in one's life. So anything that you know that is going to cause stress, one should try to do away with it. Then the next one is vacation. Here in Africa we hardly take vacation, but it is advisable that we go for vacation so we can have a relaxed mind and a relaxed body to carry on whatever we are doing. Then the next one I want to talk about is good diet. Good diet, not just good diet, but balanced diet, which is very, very important for the whole body system to actually work on. And please, let's not forget about exercise, which is very, very important for us to do. And the one that we should actually look into is having a good family support. When we see a person that is into mental disorder issues, let the family come around, let the friends come around to give the person the best support so that the person can come out of such situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ann. Dr. Ann, she spoke on the common disorders, and she also went further to talk about how we can maintain a good mental health. Speaking from a student, academic, and professional perspective, Dr. Ann, I would still like to ask you, how can we manage? How can they manage a good mental health in their daily living?
Yes, it's very, very important. One, feed fine. Eat balanced diet is very, very important. Not just that, and also exercise is good. Regular exercise is very, very, very important. It helps to keep you physically fit. And apart from that, try to expose yourself to sunlight. Vitamin D is very, very important for the body. And also what we want to note is that once you have a good mental health, both as an academician, as a student, as a stakeholder, is very, very important. It will cause you to enjoy your life, not just enjoying your life, you fulfill your career and also what your academic goal, which is very, very important. And it will actually help you to maintain a good relationship with your family and also with your friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ann. Dr. Ann has emphasized how students, academic, and professionals can boost their mental health in their daily living. Before Ann, Dr. Adejoke, and the topic is mental health and neurological disorders. Getting straight to the question, Dr. Adejoke would tell us what neurological disorders is.
Neurological disorders are the disorders that affect the brain, the spinal cord, and nerves. Neurological disorders are generally disorders that affect the nervous system, made up of the brain, spinal cord, and nerves. And they are characterized by progressive deterioration or disruption of the structure and function of the brain, leading to what is termed neurodegeneration. An example of this condition, we have Alzheimer's disease, we have Parkinson's disease, we have multiple sclerosis, we have epilepsy, and more.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Ann. Dr. Ann, I would still love to go further. Relating mental health and neurological disorders. What's the relation between mental health and the neurological disorders?
Mental health condition and neurological disorder, this has got to do with the condition that affect the thought. We have the emotions, we have the behavior, we have the relationship. And we should also know that for neurological disorder, it's actually involving damage or the degeneration of the nervous system, as Dr. Joke has said earlier, concerning the brain, the spinal cord, and also the nerves. And once there is communication, communication breakdown in these neurons, it can lead to depression, to behavioral problems, and also to post-traumatic stress disorders. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ann. Dr. Adejoke, quickly, would like you to say what's the role of the Brain Awareness Week in the public awareness on mental health and the neurological disorders. Thank you, ma'am.
The Brain Awareness Week is the week that supports public awareness on mental health and different diseases of the brain. So this week is to educate people on what are the things that predispose individual to mental health disorder or neurological disorder, so as to foster their knowledge and help them to avert those, live a healthy lifestyle that will avert that will avert their predisposing to the mental health disorder by living a good healthy life, by eating good diet and exercising. So that is what the role of brain awareness is, to sensitize the public on good healthy lifestyle that will lead to good brain and good mind, mental health. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adejoke. For those of you that missed yesterday's section where we talked about brain awareness, brain science, and careers in neuroscience, we talked about the role of policymakers, the government, and other stakeholders. So now Dr. Adejoke will be telling us what's the role of the education sector, government, the stakeholders, mental health, and this brain science advocacy.
Policymakers should create public awareness on how people should take care of their mental health. There are under different platforms. There are some dates that celebrate people living with some mental health or neurological disorder. So in such dates in the year, the government should ensure they support the outreach and event that talks about mental health. That's one thing the government should do. Then educational organization like primary, secondary school should hold events in those days like World Mental Health Day, Work Against Alzheimer's Disease Day, to promote public awareness on Alzheimer's disease, to promote public awareness on mental health, so that people will know how to take care of themselves. That's what they need to do to support brain awareness and brain health talks. Thank you.
All right, our esteemed listeners, before I hit you with the last question, we would be taking a very short break. Don't go away.
In this aspect, stable environment, good nutrition, protection for our children should be made available, so as to avoid every form of child abuse, child labor, so that the child can have a place, confident in what he or she is doing as he or she grows up. Then for the women, we are talking about, because these are actually those that are actually at the heat of it. Then for the women, they should be empowered educationally, and those that wants to have a business or whatever, they should be encouraged. There should be a scheme to actually support them. Then for the elderly, I think that they should have a befriending initiative, care centers where our elders will be looked onto and will not be abandoned, and they should be taken care of, care of. Now let's talk about for the mental health program, should be encouraged, promotions. There should be an intervention. It should be broadcasted, it should be made known both from the schools, and let everyone be involved in it. Now for mental health promotion, even at the place of work, anything that causes stress should be reduced, because this is one of the things that actually weigh people down. Stress, negative stress, it should be reduced. Then let's talk about the violence program, talking about prevention of violence, reducing arms, reducing hard drugs in circulation, all this to actually help the youth. So I think all these things should be looked into, and even community development programs to kind of elevate poverty, because poverty is also one of the cause of this mental disorders. When a man that have not eaten for long, how will you expect the man to reason and actually to behave well and actually to relate well with friends and families? So all these things should be looked into by our policymakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ann. And I'll quickly let the head of department give a closing remark.
Okay. I want to seize this opportunity to thank the Vice Chancellor, Professor Emmanuel Adejoke, for supporting this program and for supporting neuroscience advocacy in Edo State University. I want to thank the provost and Professor Idogun for his support. Also the deputy provost, Professor Nwago. Thank you for gracing our occasion yesterday. Thank you for your support. I want to thank the Dean, Professor Usunobu, for his support, and my colleagues for making this event interesting and this in a reality. And I also want to thank the supporters of the Brain Awareness Advocacy International Brain Research Organization, IBRO, and the Dana Foundation for supporting brain advocacy talks, for supporting brain health sensitization globally. Thank you. This would not have been possible without your support and your initiative. Thank you very much.
And for the Brain Awareness Week radio section, we will draw the curtain here. A very big thank you to our guests for making our time to speak to you and I listening. I mean the listeners abreast on maintaining a good mental health, the repercussion of not maintaining a good mental health, and others. I'm sure you've learned a lot today that we've discussed. Thank you to our dear esteemed listeners. Before we call it a day, I will quickly give you a rundown of the rest activities scheduled for the Brain Awareness Week 2022. This Awareness Week reminding you, is organized by the Neuroscience Research Group of the Department of Anatomy, Edo State University, Uzare, Nigeria. So continuing with our program on Tuesday, which is today, the 15th of March, 2022, we're going to be having a Neurotalk on the brain and neurological disorders by 12 noon, and that lecture is going to be delivered by Dr. Adejoke Memudu at the Technological Enhanced Laboratory of Edo State University, Uzare. Another powerful lecture will be said by Mr. Augustine Oviosun on animal models for neurological disorders. Dr. Idagoku Ann is also going to give us a powerful lecture on brain organization. On Wednesday, we're going to be having a brain video contest, so we indulge the students and everyone that's willing to participate to do so. It's a global video contest, so you should try to work on that. On Thursday, the 17th of March, 2022, we're going to be having a seminar on mental health, careers in neuroscience, brain awareness initiative by 12 noon at still the same technologically enhanced laboratory of the Department of Edo State University. And we're going to be having a guest speaker all the way from South Africa, and his name is Professor Amadi. Professor Amadi will be dissecting this topic for each and every one of us, not just for a medical scientist, but for anyone that wants to know how to maintain a good brain. And finally, on Friday, wrapping up the Brain Awareness Week, 18th March 2022, we're going to be having a neuro lab tour and neuro quiz by 12 noon at the Gross Laboratory and Museum of the Edo State University's Department of Anatomy, Nigeria. All the facilitators will be there. You don't need to be an anatomist, you don't need to be a physiologist, you don't need to be a medicine student, you don't need to be a nursing student. We're inviting the community and student staff of the Edo State University to be there to see what exactly makes up the brain and how the brain functions. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Such situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ann. Dr. Ann, she spoke on the common disorders, and she also went further to talk about how we can maintain a good mental health. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.